Hit record. I guess count us down. We're gonna do 3, 2, 1, go to unpause.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. And we begin. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting in the pink goober nugget is the Vietnamese and his old enemy, El Green.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this best of 3. I think both of these players are so evenly matched. Any game with really any Civ matchup is going to be interesting between these two.
Something that we don't or haven't seen in a while is Georgians. This is Georgians, right? As El
Yep.
Green. Am I thinking of the Sicilians that have the sergeants?
Yes, yeah, so Georgians
Okay.
are one of those 2 brand new Civs. Um, I would think, if Green ever got 2, Castle Age units, you could get to that unique unit, the Manaspa, which is really
Ah, that's right. Yep.
dominant cav.
Yep. Yeah, the trait or the mule cart is something that I've never used. Seen it a bunch in pro play, obviously, and it's one of the reasons that I know that the Georgians are just extremely highly rated because of the benefits of the mule cart. And if I remember right, it's something along the lines of like, for example, you don't have to make a lumber camp at the beginning of the game.
One other thing too, the mule cart actually counts as one of the buildings that you need to advance in age.
Wow.
So right off the bat, there's a ton of wood that
Yeah.
you would normally be spending on, a lumber camp, a
A lot
mill,
of
whatever it
value in
may
that.
be.
Yeah. uh, Scout's playing a little dance here. This is something that you'd see in games in between these two players pretty often.
Oh yeah.
Is some shenanigans. I think it's pretty typical for one scout to be lost, a scout on one team or the other to be lost early in the game, which has proven to be a serious problem in the past. It looks like they're being a little more conservative this time, though.
Yeah, even with that early scout pressure, it causes a lot of issues just in your Dark Age build orders. Green lost a villager to the board just because he was focused on uh, that scout
On the
fight.
scout, yeah, yeah.
Yep. So right off the bat, Goob already with the a villager lead.
That's something that I really like to keep an eye on is just vill count when you get into at least until imp or like middle to late castle age, because when you get to late castle age especially, or middle to late castle age, you really start you start at this level at least having to deal with a lot more, so your resource your brain bandwidth is spread a lot thinner.
Right.
And it can create some problems for like Ville, what am I saying, town center downtime,
Right.
idle TC,
Mm-hmm.
which really can stack up. And obviously if it stacks up later in a game, that's worse. And the more it stacks up, the earlier, the worse that is. But
Right.
in Castle Age, kind of adjusting honestly in the way I play, that really it does get important to You see green actually hunting here. I don't believe you're going to see pink do that ever. But you kind of have to choose to not make villas sometimes.
Right.
And that's something that, I guess, for a while, in at least other games that I've, spectated, I see idle TC, and it's like every time you see idle TC, that's bad news bears. Speaking of bad news bears, never mind. That's that's Pink's barracks. I saw the foundation for barracks in front of Pink's base and thought it was green, just putting a little bit of a spicy forward barracks here. Green continuing to hunt and mule court
Yeah,
instead of a lumber camp. That's
I
crazy.
really wonder uh, how much of a difference hunting really does, because like you said, so many things take up your brain bandwidth, especially in the early game. If you are able to get the deer in just to get that much more food, I think it is worth it. But in the process, are you losing bills to, the boar? Are you,
Right. Yep.
causing more idle TC time than necessary?
More to
It's
manage.
an
Yeah.
interesting risk, especially at this elo.
Yeah. So you can see,
Similar uptimes though.
yeah, yeah. Goob going straight for a double bit axe and gold mining, as well as wheelbarrow, as soon as he hit feudal age. So
Wow.
that means he's going to be a little bit behind on making vills, which is going to give green. Now green has the vill lead, and it makes you think. Typically, a pretty early upgrade would include the mill upgrade, which I can't. Is it horse collar? I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
horse collar is a pretty typical for pink. Is a pretty standard immediate feudal age upgrade. Oh boy, these scouts are gonna continue to play around unless
Well, with
pink
the
can.
with the Georgian scouts, in feudal age they actually regenerate some health, but it looks like green just let them go. So at this point now, green with no vision. I think Goob with the surviving scout. I think it's really a bigger advantage than uh, some people realize, because you can actually anticipate what's coming.
Yeah, it does look like green built a scout cav. He does more than one scout cav. So green's going for an early scout cav opening. Pink actually does have a barracks, which isn't super typical at this stage. Pink's also going into an archery range. So we're going to see walls coming up in the front for green all the way around, finishing off the wall around his base, and straight into scout cav, which could be a serious problem as pink is starting to make archers instead of pikemen, because he did not see those scouts earlier. Pink's scout, though, is standing on the foundation for one of the walls that green is building.
Mm. Two
Unintentionally, I'm
vills from
sure.
green should be able to take care of that, but looks like the other one's leaving, so yeah, that could potentially be a problem, especially if green doesn't see that he'll lose a vill here and have open walls.
I'm assuming, though, that's only if pink even sees it.
That's
Because
true.
it's
This
not
is
going to
his
auto
original
attack,
scout.
is it?
Right.
Oh, that's
Ah,
right.
wow. So just no
so,
no
so no.
wall built there. Wow.
But he's making up for it. Green is now in pink's base. Pink without loom. Whereas green did get it early, and oh boy. Pink's going to see some serious losses here. Bills tried to block off the wood line and did not succeed. So that is 5 dead vills for green. Great value. Obviously, losing 0 scouts and 0 health from the scouts. So Pink's
Yeah,
going
that
to
was a
react
good
with some
trade.
pikes. Yep.
Pike's coming out now. Yep. Yeah, really a good trade. what the advantages of some of these non-trash units, even in feudal age, is that for the cav, you have a unit that can move so quickly. Even though pikes obviously counter the cav line, you can get away pretty easily. And then on the archer side, of course, the range.
Which
Really
is,
difficult to deal with when it's in your base, either
yeah,
one.
yeah. That is now 11 dead vills from green. He does lose the last scout, but more scouts are going to start to come out here. And a watchtower as well, a forward tower. So green has not only killed 11 of pink's vills and not lost any himself to green's to pink's units. He also still has vision. So pink is he has vision, but his vision has been sitting in the wall line of green's base for a while now, so not accomplishing a whole lot.
Yeah, so a good early trade for green obviously delays his own castle time, but I think the hope there was that he would also do the same for Goob. And now it looks like Goob's scout does see the villagers and it gets taken out. And here come the archers from Goob. Green trying to get a wall up. Looks like it only covers half, actually, of the hole, so that didn't do much at all. And all of a sudden you have archers inside the walls of Green's base.
So pink trying to retaliate here, continuing to make pikemen at home. Pretty scared of these scouts, and for good reason. He's been set back over 10 vills now behind green, who has just clicked up to Castle Age. Pink is, as you can see, nowhere near clicking up to Castle Age, so this is going to be a serious problem. Watchtower threatening this wood line forces Pink to move to the back. And he does have archers in Green's base, but again, that's the strength, like you were saying, of a unit like a scout. They may not be as resistant to town center fire, for example. Even though Goob doesn't even have patterned archer armor. Archers do have the range, but Green's doing a really good job of a lot of his vills as he's playing heavily into food. A lot of his vills are just around his TC, so he can just garrison in the TC as soon as archers come up, and they don't have time without that speed to really take out any vills. So I believe, is that still, that's one. Okay, so Goob is able to kill one of Green's vills, but not enough for this counterattack so far. More archers
Yeah, I
popping
think
up.
more the time away from gold for green. I think that's the biggest impact that these archers have had while they've been in his base. I don't like the decision actually to go with an archery range in green's base, trying to get skirms. I understand the want to have the counter, but you're almost all the way up to Castle Age, and he is now. I think just a couple knights.
Yeah.
Queued up immediately would have been fine.
And those knights do come out. Again, this counterattack, it's pressure on green, which is something you want when you're under this kind of deficit. But it's just not quite enough. Green does have skirms out, and now a couple knights that are just going to be able to take care of these archers very, very easily.
Yeah, it's
Pink
really
trying to
crazy
block the micro.
sometimes to think about the difference between feudal and Castle Age units. Knights just so strong. You could also have cav archers. Get the archers up to crossbow. That's an extremely strong unit.
Right.
There's a big jump between ages for these units. But like you said, that's a lot of time that the battle has been in green space and not over at Goob's.
And you do notice the idle TC continuing to go up. This was a couple minutes ago. I noted that green was behind. It was like 19 vills to 30 vills or something like that.
Mm,
Green's made one in that time, and
right.
Pink's made a few and managed to click up to castle. So it's not entirely destitute yet. You know, you want to see more from a counterattack, but some pressure is better than no pressure.
Right.
Green putting a forward stable now in front of Pink's base. So I think really these mule carts are actually really impressive. I'm not actually familiar with this unit. Do you make that at the town center?
No, it's actually just a buildable unit by your villagers. So just like a lumber camp or a mining camp, you can just have a villager pop up and build them, and they actually will, if I remember right, they'll follow the villagers as they mow through the
Wow.
wood line. So really efficient.
Yeah, wow. You almost wish, for Pink's sake, that he had some quick unit to be able to get through this wood line up here. But I don't believe... I'm trying to get my fog of war corrected. I'm trying to see if Pink has... can I do... No. Okay. I don't believe Pink has seen that side of... yeah, Pink has not seen that side of Green's base, so he wouldn't even know that those trees were open. He does, however, go for a second TC, so Pink's still behind. He does click up to castle. He's going for pikeman. He got crossbow. He does have fletching and padded armor. Green going for bloodlines, putting a second stables down. So he's going to have plenty of time. Oh, yeah. And a fortified church.
Mm.
So walk me through the fortified church and kind of the strategy. Second TC for green as well. The strategy behind the warrior priests and the fortified church.
Yeah, it's such a unique building and unit. The fortified church, if I remember right, only cost wood. So you actually don't
Oh.
need stone to build that, which I think is huge for green, who doesn't have any on stone at this
Hmm.
moment. So, and then like you said, the warrior priest basically just a militia with all the abilities of the monk. As you see the ram go in, but meet some knights. That's a big loss.
Yeah, that hurts for Pink. Um, I wonder if he's thinking at this point. He doesn't see this building very often. I don't know if he expects it to have range or how much range it has. Crossbowmen up north will be able to hurt these knights that are bleeding at this point. They're very weak, but it's just a lot of pressure from green here. Blacksmith coming out. Green is going into elite skirm, so he's just queuing up a bunch of skirmishers in the back of his base, looks like, and just wants to be able to take care of these archers, as it seems like outside of Halbs, that's really Pink's only path right now.
Yeah, I think definitely we have quality versus quantity at this point. Looks like green is just trying to get more out, but pink definitely has some stronger units. Crossbows with upgrades. Pikemen also with upgrades, like you mentioned. So curious how this will work out. We have the fortified church under attack now. With looks like it does have some of the monks in them. Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. And now we see a siege workshop being built from green, who we know likes to go with scorpions typically.
Yep, Scorpion's coming out for green, Ram's coming out for pink. This church, for all intents and purposes, should go down, but it's going to be one step of many needed to get this kind of bug off his back. One lone knight in the back of Pink's base. Pink still without loom, so these villagers are going to die very quickly. He has a lone pikeman in there to try to deal with that. Just not pretty at all. Knights coming in to take care of the rams from Pink. I did just note Green's still not on stone, so he's leaning very heavily into this food, gold, cav, and Castle Age siege approach. Pink does have several vills on stone.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Green has any intention at this point to actually even build a castle here. I think if he could have gone that direction, I think a castle dropping here near Pink's base would have been a lot to deal with. Goob doing a really good job of keeping things under control and continuing to work on his economy.
Yeah, I was just looking at the Vill count, and it's just about tied. In fact, Goob has a slight Vill lead now. Resources collected. Elgreen does have 1,000 more, but it's that number could be a lot bigger given the circumstances. Knights and Scorpions for Green. Just a hurtful combo. Pushing Vills off of that gold.
Yeah,
Big
wow,
fight
that
here.
really
Yep.
is a strong combo.
Green might lose. Nope, does not lose that Scorpion. So Knight's gonna prevail. Pink left with almost no military. This is a rough gold spot for him. Maybe he could have set this up better to be more defensible. But his only other gold is out on the right, outside of his tree line, in a very undefensible spot. He does go for a close castle drop.
Yep, here comes the castle. That's
Yeah.
and losing a lot of vills in the process though, but if he can get this up, that would be huge for him.
He does have 5 garrisoned in his town center. Castle at 46%. He goes for it, sending the rest of his vills out to try to finish it. He has the pikes to protect the villagers. Just not pretty. Not pretty at all. Pretty much everything hangs on getting this castle up.
Yep. Yeah, looks like Green is just sending everything he can, trying to keep this from going up.
2 vills now on this castle. The Scorpions. Wow. The Scorpion's proving to be a serious problem. Green is just sitting back here. 2 siege workshops, 2 stables right next to Pink's base. The castle does go up, but even so, Green. Look at the amount of villagers on food, the amount on gold. He's got plenty up here that just finished wood line. Completely uncontested economy. This amount of pressure, you gotta wonder how much longer can this continue to go. Green picking up a relic on Pink's side of the map.
And now a 30 vill lead for Green.
Wow.
Yeah, this pressure has been a lot to handle for Pink. But with the castle up, I wonder if Pink can start transitioning to maybe some unique units, just to try and mix things up here. He'll need something to turn around at this point to get back in.
Yeah, some dynamite. It's the only unique unit Pink has to offer is an archer with the unique ability of it just being able to take more pierce damage. So not really anything special to be able to deal with these knights. He does, however, have elephants, as he's a Vietnamese, so Pink throwing down a stable, looking for some sort of Hail Mary here to try to help with the knights.
Looks like Knights now getting around to the other side of Pink's base. Still no upgrades at all, though, for these knights.
I was about to mention that. The problem is, I mean, at this point, more knights is, well, and here we go, up the forging and scale mail, I believe. Scale armor coming in for green.
Right.
But just not enough. I mean, Pink may have been able to get his infantry upgrades to make the pikes, you know, more effective at countering the knights, but the sheer amount of resources that green has at his disposal, more knights at this point seems more valuable than upgrades. Just to quickly seal the deal here, Pink does
Yeah, I
get an
think you're
elephant,
right.
2 elephants out. Elephants do counter cav, but it really is a Hail Mary because this unit is extremely slow, and he's dealing with green, who's making primarily quick units in his knights. And so if Pink keeps losing an eco... yeah, it's hard to even say eco lead at this point. 71 to 22 villagers. Seems like there's not much left here for Pink to do.
Wow, yeah, I think one of the things that Pink does have going for him at this point is really he's in a good defensive spot. That castle, again, being huge for him. It'll be difficult for, especially any of these knights, to trickle in. I think Green will either have to slow down his push to get more knight numbers to be able to go in under that castle and town center fire, or he'll have to rely on some other unit.
This is a smart move, actually. So he's putting a fortified church and barracks in the back of Pink's base, just continuing to expand. But what I was going to touch on was he just took out Pink's market, which at this point, up until this point, was probably one of Pink's greatest weapons. He's mining stone, really just to sell it to get gold. And now that he has no market, he has no way to trade, no way to get those specific resources that he needs for those specific units, like the stable. Like the elephant, which kind of was his only shot here at countering the cav. So it is not looking good for Pink here.
Yeah, and back at home for Green, since he's been untouched, he's really been able to use the fortified church as it should be used, which is to actually amplify production of nearby villagers. Green
Wow.
does have a lot of villagers idle. Looks like 20 plus.
Normally that'd be a pretty big red flag, but when you have a 58 villager lead,
Might be
doesn't
able to
hurt as much. Yeah. Stone definitely coming out here for Green, so copious stone. I mean, he's just floating well over 1,000 stones, 1,600 stone here. If he wanted to, he could just chop a couple castles in the middle of Pink's base. Not much he could do about it. More scorpions coming out. Monks to convert the elephants. Does he get one? He doesn't. He loses a lot of gold.
What a trade for Goob. This could be the break that he's looking for. All of a sudden, Green in a tough position, losing units everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very, that was a 4 or 5 elephants, I think. Wow, yeah. Pink calls the GG. Yep.
Yeah, it's the production at that point that's, I think that's a good call for Pink. I mean, even with a good return fight from those elephants, just the sheer numbers, you immediately have scorpions and knights coming out again.
Yeah, he knows, you know, you got to know at that point. He's played against El Green so much at this point that he knows that uncontested for so long. I mean, this was 15 to 20 something minutes of absolutely no pressure in Green's base. He's going to start to see that score in the bottom right tick up, and there's just not much you can do when you can't put pressure on the other person's base. A great game, really well executed from Green.
Yeah, that was a good game. A fun one to watch. The Civ matchup, especially, I thought was unique, and it really just came down to Cav versus archers.
Yeah, the unit choice, I think it could have gone either way, but at the end of the day, uh, going early scouts into siege, into knights, into more siege. When you're playing a civ like the Vietnamese, where you really want archers on the field, uh, it's just not the first unit you want to be able to counter those units that Green was making. But
Great game overall, and again, this is game one of their best of three, so we'll look to see what Goob has in store in the next one.
indeed, let's see.